Those in attendance. I'll just wait for the recording to show. That's it started. So, okay, the roll call starting. Councillor Reynolds.
Present.
Councillor Malik.
Present.
Councillor Allen.
Present.
Councillor Bell.
Present. Good morning.
Morning. Councillor Delaney has submitted his apologies. Councillor Henrickson.
Present.
Councillor Radley.
Present.
Councillor Seller.
Present.
And Councillor Townsend.
Present.
Thank you. I'll now hand back to the convener.
Thanks very much indeed, Mark. So good morning to everybody. The agenda as printed, we'll start with number 1, which is the urgent business. There is none. Item 2 is exempt business. There is none. Item 3, confidential business. There is none. Item 4, declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest at all? No. Okay, thank you very much indeed. Item 5, deputations. We have no deputations. Item 6 is the minute of the licensing subcommittee, which was held last Wednesday. Can I take it that that is a true minute?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, thank you very much indeed. And we go on to item 7.1, which is the report in front of you. What I'd like to do is bring Karen in and she can speak to the report first of all. And then what I'll do, I'll go through the report itself page by page so that if anybody has any queries on any of the points there, we can ask as we go through. So Karen, over to you, please.
Good morning, convener and councillors. This is a report on the sexual entertainment licensing policy, which is due to be implemented on the 1st of December of this year. It has since been to the policy board, so it's very much a work in progress draft at the moment, because obviously we'll have to take into consideration any comments that you have to make today as well. What we would like you to do today, if possible, is to agree on the vicinity to what we would suggest is a suitable area for the licensing policy to be covering, and the numbers of how many venues you would like to be covered, and agree to let us put it out for consultation prior to the next committee in October.
Okay, looking at the location, Karen, any suggestions? Do we look at just going with what we have at the moment as far as licenses are concerned, or do we allow a little bit more latitude so that others can join?
That's up to you. What we have suggested is that it mirrors the liquor licensing, because it's already, most of the premises are already covered by a liquor licence. So we've put the map in to show the area that the city centre covers in blue for the liquor licensing, and anything out with. So our suggestion is that there are 6 in operation at the moment, as far as we know. So the suggestion is that we would suggest that you would do the 6 to cover the existing buildings and businesses, but no more, and 0 make the number 0 for out with the city centre and keep them all within the city centre. But as I said, that's up to you to decide on that one.
Okay, Councillor Radley, you've got a question.
Thank you, convener. It was just a quick query, just to clarify, the 6 that are currently in operation are within the city centre.
Yes.
Boundary, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, right, so can we go through the report, and then if there are any questions, members can actually ask.
I should say that obviously you can drop the number as well if you wish. You don't have to even go for the 6. It's entirely up to you what you decide that you would like to go ahead.
Okay, by dropping the numbers though, I assume that would put somebody's nose out of joint, and there'll probably be an appeal.
Probably.
They would the appeal would, I guess, be successful because they're already trading.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so I think we'll steer clear of that one if we may, members. I think we'll go with what we've got when we get to it. Okay, page 11, page 12, page 13, the introduction to the Act itself. Page 14, locality. Okay, so the appropriate number of serves. Yes, Councillor
Sorry,
Townsend.
I did press the hand. Maybe you didn't see it, but
No, my apologies. I'm trying to read the papers and look
Yeah,
at my little
I can
query at the same time.
that's why I interrupted. Could I
No
bring
problem.
up a point in page 13 and leading into 14?
Of course, no problem.
Page 13 is the introduction, and it says the 1982 Act, that's the Civic Government Scotland Act,
Yep.
82, defines an SEV, a sexual entertainment venue, at section 45A2. That's any premises, that's what I'll emphasise, premises at which sexual entertainment is provided, etc., etc., etc. Then at page 14, with reference to para 9.7 of Schedule 2 of the 1982 Act, relevant locality means A, in relation to the premises, the locality where they are situated, and B, in relation to a vehicle, vessel, or stall, any locality where it is desired to use as an SAV. Now, this mention of vehicle, vessel, or stall is the only mention I see at page 14 at B. And then after, all the language in the report refers to premises and control of premises. CCTV, entry, lighting, signage, all these kind of things. It's all about premises. And I also, so that's the question. Where did vehicle, vessel, or stall come from? It appears quite old-fashioned language, vessel or stall. It doesn't sit with the premises. All the detail about the premises. That's where I'm.
Yeah, Karen, to you. I guess.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Air Weapons and Licensing Act only amended the civic government, and it still is the original language that's in the Civic Government Act, so even like a street trader, it talks about the vehicle, premises, or stall. So I think that's a standard definition through the Civic Government Act, but I could check that out for you and amend it if required.
I can come back again, convener.
That would be useful.
It's not simply the language I'm speaking about. It doesn't seem to sit with me that we would be considering a vehicle, vessel, or stall for the purposes of sexual entertainment. It seems wholly out of place. That
Yes.
All the detail that's brought forward in subsequent pages about huge amount of control and thought going into premises, and just that those three words are mentioned, and it doesn't sit right for me. And it's rather confusing, to say the least.
Okay, I could check that out for you, and I'll look to change that. But any license that's applied for will come in front of the committee anyway. We do not have delegated powers to grant this license, so that would always be in your control too.
Yeah.
For any application.
Could I finally come back again, convener? But
of course,
this draft policy is going out to be looked at by a wide spectrum of people. That I think they too would be very. It jars. What's this about vehicle, vessel, or stall when we're speaking about premises and the location of premises in the city centre, etc., all this kind of stuff. So that's the whole combination there.
I will clarify that point in the draft of it. I will be sending you a copy of the draft before we send it out to consultation anyway, for any final comments.
Excellent. Yeah, I would hate to have an application in front of us for a stall on St Nicholas Street, for example. I think that would cause a little bit of a stir. And Councillor Townsend, thanks very much for bringing that up. I just accepted that was part of the Act itself, the words used, but the way you put it over to us, yeah, there is concern there, and I support your feeling on that one. Okay, we'll go on to page 15. 14, 15, we're on locality. Members' feelings on the locality as it stands. We keep it as the licensing board locality as far as licensed premises are concerned, and the area out with the city centre where Karen tells us there are none that we know of at the moment that are operating with or without a licence. We also need to look at whether we stick with the 6 that we have at the moment, or maybe go for 7 or 8, or go for 5 or 4. The 4's yours, members, if you want to have a wee thought about it and put in your input. Don't There is a hand there, but I can't see who it is. Councillor Bell, I think it's you, is it?
Thank you, Camina. I would really think that keeping the status quo would be the preferable solution. That would be for me, I think. So the number, as is, certainly no more, and the location as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Allen.
Yeah, I would agree with Councillor Bell in his submission there. If we could reduce it, I would reduce it, but I don't think it's fair if these people are already operating to close down businesses. But I certainly wouldn't want any more than the 6 that we have at present.
Okay. Karen, what about, let me play devil's advocate here. If we get an application forward, after we've agreed to say the 6, keeping the status quo, we get a license application in, what grounds of refusal do we have other than it's a closed shop and nobody else can join?
It's against policy. As normal, you've got the right to grant out with policy if they could come up with reasonable reasons why you should divert from policies. We have had this conversation. There may be an issue where equalities come in, because at the moment it's all female based operations that's on the go. What if an all male club? What if an all male application came in? And it comes down to equalities. It's like, it's going to be sticky in areas, but that is up to you at the time if you want to divert from policy. You're on mute, Councillor. Convener, you're on mute.
My apologies there, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm always concerned about appeals, and I suppose from a council's point of view, losing appeals. If we had a really good application in front of us and the committee decided, no, we'll stay with what we've got, 6 is ample in the city centre, but it's a good case, it goes to appeal, what are the chances of us losing the appeal?
I've been working alongside with Sandy, again, along with all the other councils like Edinburgh and Glasgow, and we've looked at the case law in England where these SEV licensing policies have been going on for quite a little while, and none of the appeals have been upheld on the grounds of numbers down there.
Oh, right, okay. And how have they handled the numbers? They've gone for the status quo when they've all swapped over?
I'm not very sure because we weren't privy to that information. We just had to go on how many numbers they had and what case law there was. But it was interesting to see that the courts tended to be in the favour of the council.
Okay, let's hope it's the same in Scotland then. So members, do we stick with the status quo of 6? Are we in agreement there? Yep, I see a lot of nodding heads. Thank you very much indeed. So we turn to page 16. Any questions on 16? Don't see any hands. On to 17. Item 4, preventing nuisance, crime and disorder. Looking at the 6 headings.
Sorry, Convener.
Sorry, Councillor Townsend.
Councillor Townsend, if I could just interrupt for a second. I don't know if it's appropriate to be mentioning at the moment, but further on in the document, page 21, the occasional use, the 4 in a year exemption. I just wonder if we should bear in mind or have that very much in the forefront of our minds when we're speaking about how the numbers of premises impact on the city centre, whatever, because you could get occasional use applications coming in. I'm assuming by application, not only in the city centre but out with. So it's got to be very. We have to be aware, and the public have to be aware that there are permanent premises, but there are also occasional use premises for 4 in a year. And if you multiply maybe 5 or 6 premises within the city centre who are occasional, it's can become quite a concentration, and we have to bear that in mind as we go forward.
Yeah. Karen?
Unfortunately, that's part of the Act. What we have done is I've made up a forum, we've drafted a forum, which means that when people apply, they have to show when they last had one so that we could kind of have some kind of enforcement around the 4 in a year. It's mainly for hen parties and stag parties and stuff like that. That's for the occasional use exemption. I don't think there's much of that goes on anymore. I'm not sure. I think the actual taking away, having to apply for adult entertainment within your alcohol licence kind of put a stop to that, so it doesn't really go on so much. So I'm not thinking that there'll be a huge amount of interest in that anymore.
Okay, yeah, I think the one that I remember most is probably the D Motel, which caused a few stirs back in the day. Councillor Radley, over to you. You won't even remember the D Motel, I don't think.
I don't know what that is. It's on Councillor Townsend's point. Will there be sort of an application process for the occasional, exemption?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And will that come before committee,
That will
similar
come
to?
For committee, what they'll have to do is send us a notice saying that, and I think they've informed the Police Scotland as well, that they will be holding like a stag or a hen party that night. And the form is created so that it has the 4 block boxes in it, and they have to send back the same form all the time when it's filled in before we'll be able to cross-reference to check that they've not had more than 4 in the year and whatnot.
That's helpful, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay,
could I ask, just on the back of, I'm looking at page 16, character and vicinity of relevant locality. Would the elements in there apply wholly to the 4 in a year application, the occasionals? Because what you mentioned there, Karen, was licensing in the Licensing Scotland Act, and the provisions in there. But if they make application for sexual entertainment, the location of their premises might be appropriate for licensed trade, but it might not be appropriate for being very close to a church or whatever.
Yeah. I could look into that and check that and amend the draft if need be before.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Well spotted. Okay, on to item 4 on page 17. The 6 titles there for preventing nuisance, crime and disorder. I notice alcohol isn't there. Is that something that we should have in there?
We can't really, because the premises tend to be licensed through alcohol already. This is the rub, because they're already licensed, and this will be a second license to do the sexual entertainment side of it. I'm not really sure we could cover alcohol through the committee. Okay. It's a balancing act, if you know what I mean. It's quite difficult.
It is, because it's usually alcohol that causes the nuisance.
Yeah, but they're already, we've got standard.
They're already licensed, yeah. Okay, all right. Any comments on page 17? Nope. On to page 18. No hands up, no. On to page 19. Nope. Okay. Page 20. Again, reducing violence against women. You talk about the hen parties, etc., and stag parties. How does that fit as far as 7's concerned?
Anybody that has the exemption will have to follow policy as well. So.
Okay. Okay. No comments on 20. Page 21. Waivers and exemptions. No. Okay, page 22. I don't think the conditions are too onerous, actually. I thought they might be a wee bit tighter. Is that, again, going on some of the stuff you've got from England?
Yeah, basically it was suggested conditions as well. We can add more and take away anything that you're not happy with. we also had to bear in mind that most of these premises have lots of strict licensing conditions on them already. So this is, and try and not contradict them. So that's where we are with that one at the moment. So if you think of anything else that you would like to be added, please let me know and I will.
Okay, I think Councillor Radley's maybe got a suggestion. Councillor Radley.
It was more of a question. On page 22, there's sort of standard conditions that there be no advertisement or promotional material used on the exterior of the venue that's unsuitable for children by way of sexually provocative imagery. Does that hold for other advertisement, other places in the city, or is it just solely on the outside of the venue?
I don't think there should be advertising anywhere else in the city. I've not seen anything as yet. There shouldn't be any advertising at all, I don't think.
I'm aware of a billboard sort of near the Hannigan roundabout that was subject to some concern from various parties. Would that be permitted in this policy is sort of where I'm getting at?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there should be advertising anywhere, to be honest.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Can we maybe change the wording so that it reflects that?
Yeah.
Because I know I would agree with Councillor Radley there. We've seen a few trailers, etc., dumped with advertising on, and some of it hasn't been appropriate. Okay, page 23. Just a continuation, really, of page 22. Page 24. Don't see any hands. Page 25. No. Page 27, Karen, I can't even read that.
No, it's recently went to the policy board yesterday, so it's been completely tidied up and whatnot. The document I send out for consultation, I'll send to you, you'll see it's reformatted and totally tidied up and a bit longer and a bit more explanation in it. Okay,
thanks very much. Right, members, over to you. Final say on anything? Any questions? Councillor Radley.
Thank you, Convener. I have some questions on the public consultation, if that's possible.
Yep.
How will we be consulting? You know, how will it be advertised, etc.? Is my first question.
It will be the same as what we did previously. It will go out to the focus groups, all the focus groups. It will be on our social media. It will be advertised as widely as we possibly can.
What's the expected length of time for the consultation?
We have to bring it back to the committee on the 28th of October, so we're hoping for the month.
Okay. I have some slight concerns about that timescale, given that we're going into 2 weeks of school holidays and interested parties obviously might not be able to. Okay,
so that kind of falls into the back of what I was going to say next. I know that we set the resolution to publish this and implement it for the 1st of December, but considering what we've just been through in the last 18 months or so, and the premises have just all reopened, I wondered if you would like to change that to extend the implementation date. We could still have the policy out and published, but change the implementation date, because I feel like we had discussed this and we feel like to make them apply and pay a fee after such a lengthy time of being closed, that it looks like we're not thinking about them. I don't know, it's up to you. I'll leave that in your hands to discuss.
That's quite a valid point, actually. Suggestions on the delay, a 3-month delay, would that be appropriate?
Whatever you think.
Yeah, Councillor Radley.
If we delayed the implementation of the policy, could we extend the time of the consultation and bring it back to the next licensing committee after, so that people have an opportunity to adequately respond to that?
Yep, Karen, is that a possibility?
I think you would have to extend the resolution. I'm not sure, would you have to do a new one? Because the dates in the resolution.
I see. What you're saying is that we can't extend by 3 months because of that resolution?
We could
No?
extend the implementation date, but I think the policy
Oh,
has
right.
to be ready by the 1st of December.
Okay, so the consultation would still have to go ahead in that
Yeah.
2-week period.
We could try extend. We could if we could get it out probably today or tomorrow. They would just have just over a month.
That would certainly be better. Councillor Radley, back to you.
Sorry, I know I'm being a wee bit pernickety. I'm just concerned that we do have 2 weeks of school holidays where, you know, there may be childcare commitments and people won't be able to respond. Would there be an opportunity for, you know, another special committee, maybe 2 weeks later than the 26th of October, where so we can extend the consultation period so people have an adequate chance to respond, all of their concerns or positives, whatever. And we still have time to sort of report back on that before the date that you're aiming towards. Would that be a possibility?
Karen?
If you're happy with that, to have a special committee, we could work around that.
Okay, Councillor Bell.
Thank you, convener. I just whilst Councillor Radley was was pontificating there about who the consultation period, I was minded with 2 things really. First one was that this will be the 3rd consultation, as I understand it. Second one will be that I would very much hope that parents wouldn't actually want to to go to these particular venues, and so whether they were included in the consultation or not, so I'm not sure would be that relevant. If we're going to actually limit the locations, then would that not be sufficient? It's just a thought, convener.
I must admit, I can think of a couple of parents that would go to the occasionals if it's a hen party. So I think it would be relevant to actually do that. Councillor Townsend.
I may be missing something here, but is it not more to the point that for awareness for parents and anybody who's living in particular parts of the city, or anybody who's concerned about vulnerability or criminality or whatever, it's so that there's a knowledge there and they're forearmed, forewarned, and they can be very strong in their opinions and thoughts. And this can be permeate right through the whole city, that people know what it's all about, what's happening. And the point made by Councillor Radley is that extended period would allow for a greater ability for people to become aware, because there have been a few changes suggested this morning, which a fair bit of work for officers. So I think it's wholly appropriate to give more time for that, and also more time for people to become fully aware and absorb the material, not because they want to attend something, but because they maybe want to protect vulnerable or young people.
Thank you. Councillor Henrickson.
Thank you, convener. I agree with everything that Councillor Townsend has said. I think it's a wider thing than just parents that are actually involved, but one of the things it might actually, parents who are actually involved in the industry might require a little bit of extra time as well. So I think it's wise to extend it over the school holidays, beyond the school holidays.
Or pre the school holidays, even as suggested by Karen. That way we can fulfil our obligation. Karen, back to you before I bring Councillor Allen in.
Yeah, we will have to make a new resolution. We have to publish the policy a month before implemented, before the 1st of December, which means that it has to be published by the 3rd of November. So you would have to make a new resolution extending the date to be able to extend the consultation period.
And we've done that already.
Yeah. I'm
not happy with that particular process. What about if we got it out now? I mean, that is giving.
It is a lot better.
In fact, almost a month, isn't it?
The draft that you have seen, is basically what was in place last week. There has been a lot of work done on it since. I could send that out to you today for you to have a look at, for you all to have a look at, and if you're happy for it to go out the way it is, we could get that out on social media by today, start the consultation today, tomorrow.
Okay, and doing it that way, we don't need to go for a new resolution.
No.
No. Okay, Councillor Allen, back to you.
Yeah, I was just considering what's been happening over the last whatever length of time, holiday-wise. I think a lot of people will probably wish to do holidays during the October holidays because they haven't managed to have a holiday at any other time, and that maybe will not just affect parents at school. It may, folk in the business whose kids will be off will also, probably take the opportunity to take a break and have holidays then.
Okay. Karen.
The consultation hasn't really brought in many comments in the past. You've got a list of consultation comments from the last one that we did. We tried the focus group as well, and we didn't get a lot of input from from outside. So I'm not sure how much attention it will attract, to be honest. But we usually find that most of the comments are made within the first fortnight of any consultation.
Okay, so members, are we happy for Karen to have a look at the draft going out to us today and then go straight out to consultation? That gives us a full month and keeping to the resolution that we've already made. Yep. Councillor Radley.
I would be minded to extend the deadline just so that we have that sort of adequate consultation, if that could be possible.
Yeah, I think that's what's being suggested. It's giving us 4 weeks virtually prior to the 1st of November. Did you say 3rd of November?
It has to be. You have to determine it, and then it has to be published by the 3rd of November.
Okay, so you would close it off at the end of October.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gives us a full month there, which is double what we would normally do anyway.
Yeah,
That's
I'm just aware that school holidays are the 8th of October until I think it's the 24th of October, which is a good chunk of that. 22nd, it's a good chunk of that time, and as has been advised by various people, people are probably minded to go on holiday and won't be available to do the consultation. That would be my thoughts.
Okay, members, your thoughts? Councillor Allen.
Yeah, given the response I got from Karen that most of the submissions come in the first couple of weeks, I'm quite content with that.
Okay, anyone else? No, can we formalise then? Can I propose that we do go ahead with the consultation as of today? The consultation will close at the end of October, which gives a full, in fact, over a month's consultation period there, bearing in mind that we've already consulted on the theme of this, not as the report states at the moment, but certainly on the theme. And it keeps us then in line with the deadline of the 3rd of November for implementation on the 1st of January. Can we agree that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Can I just check that you've agreed on the numbers and the vicinity as well?
Yes, we've agreed on the 6, keeping it into the city centre, and a 0 on the external. Okay, members.
Yeah.
I shall get that to you this afternoon prior to going out.
That's fabulous. Councillor Radley.
I think Councillor Radley is wanting to maybe potentially move something different.
Okay, Councillor Radley.
I would be minded to move the extended deadlines. I don't know how you would want to do that, whether we have to change the implementation date or whatnot. I would be minded to give us a wee bit more time. If I can maybe get some advice on that.
Karen would have to go for a new resolution if that was the case, and go through the whole process again. Yeah. Do you want to give a bit of advice?
Yeah, the committee would have to pass a new resolution with new dates on it prior to us being able to do that. I don't know if you could do that just now.
I seem to remember that we had to give a year's notice or something, didn't we? Because it was going to be implemented the 1st of January last year, and then we had to have a meeting before.
You changed it to the 1st of December. You had to have a special meeting and change it to the 1st of December. I'm not sure. how long you need, how much notice you need to give. I would have to check that out. I could get back to you if you wanted to do that.
Okay, well, what's the committee's feeling on that? Silence is golden.
Yeah, Chair, sorry.
Struggling to get my hand.
Yeah, I was going to put my hand as it now. Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Malik, if you hang on a second, I'll bring Councillor Townsend in first, and then your good self.
Okay.
No, I think what Councillor Radley's suggesting is very valid. And having read this in full, I would like to see it extended to give the maximum opportunity for parents of vulnerable or persons who could be exposed to, in their mind, danger or whatever, get more time to look at it. And I don't think we need to be in a rush. And I think we should go through the process that's necessary to do that.
Okay, Alan.
Sorry, Karen.
Yeah, Alan's helping me out in the background here. It says, if the local authority decide to introduce SCV licensing in Aberdeen City, it requires to specify a date from which this will take effect. This date requires to be at least 12 months from the date on which the resolution was passed. And less than 28 days prior to the commencement date, the council required to publish a notice advertising they have passed the resolution to license SCVs in the area and the general effect of the licensing provision. Yeah.
Okay, so it would mean a year's delay if we go for
an extension. Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Malik.
Thanks very much, Convener. I think we did not receive a lot of representation anyway, and we heard from Karen that these representation was in initial first 2 weeks. Even you can extend for another 8 weeks. I don't think it is going to be increased. So I would rather just make a decision today.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else? Councillor Radley.
Given that it would delay it by 12 more months, I might back off and accept the recommendation as is. I think sooner rather than later for the implementation. If it's going to take a further 12 months, we should probably just consult on it just now.
Okay, thanks a lot, Councillor Radley. Of course, what we are doing is actually doubling up on the consultation period anyway, so folk are getting a full month as against that 2 weeks that was proposed initially. Okay, so Karen, if we can go ahead with that, do the necessary amendments, get it out onto social media ASAP and close it off at the end of October. I think that would then keep to the timescale of the 3rd of November and the 1st of January, or 1st of December and the 1st of January, of course.
Yeah, the implementation date I was talking about is about the date that the current operations would have to apply for their license by. So you've got scope to extend that at any time.
Okay, so we can extend that from the 1st of December.
You could extend that from the 1st of December to March or whenever. It's just the policy has to be in place ready to go by the 1st of December, if that makes sense.
Okay. Members, do we extend? I mean, the Christmas period is coming up, so hopefully these places will be a little bit busier and get some more revenue in. We can extend from the 1st of January, isn't it? From the 1st of January to the 1st of March, perhaps?
Convener, I think what you're suggesting is very valid from what you said previously, that a lot of these premises are in, or Councillor Allen said that they're in a state of recovery. And I think it was Councillor Allen, I recall, they are recovering. So that I think is very valid what you're suggesting. Okay, thank you.
Karen, we're okay with doing that. It fits with the rules and everything else, yes?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so we're doing a 4-week consultation. That will finish at the end of October, and the implementation date will move to the 1st of March.
Yes.
Are we all in agreement? Yes. Okay, members. Yeah. Thank you very much for your attendance. Karen, good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
So, bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye. Bye.